Messages made it through.
Here with the answers, author of The Power of Body Language expert, Tonya Reiman.
Hello, Tonya. Also, from VH1's Best Week Ever, comedian Chuck Nice back with us. Look at that outfit, Chuck. Lovely. Also, financial advisor Pat Powell. We're going to talk to her a little later about the economy and the candidates and how they did on that. But first, we were just talking. You know, a lot of folks saying it was a little bit of a snoozer last night, and you said that the audience, you were watching the body language of the audience.
One of the things you want to do is span the audience and see how they're reacting. Are they making eye contact with the candidates? And one of the things I kept noticing was I saw a lot of crossed arms, but worse than that, I saw a lot of foot jazzing, and that's so indicative of boredom. Like, okay, let's wrap this up.
But I got to tell you, there was promise right at the beginning. We saw the footage there just a second ago, the candidates, their handshake. And you say maybe Barack Obama jumped the gun?
Yeah, look at how early he goes to shake. Look at how it's 5 steps
what
before
does that say?
Well, that's, you know, he who shakes first is the dominant one. That's really the rule of thumb. So whoever goes to initiate the shake is seen as more powerful, and that's what he's doing here.
Hi, Chuck.
Hey, how are you?
See you.
Good to see ya.
Did you like the handshake?
What's that?
Do you like that handshake?
You know, I think here's the deal. When you start shaking from, like, you know, 2 blocks away, maybe that's a little much.
Watch, look at this. Look at this. It's 5 full steps.
Well, maybe he was just excited about it.
Yeah, he was excited.
It was a lunge.
Or maybe he thought maybe I better keep an eye on McCain because, you know, he's a little surly. He might just suck a bit.
Get those fists up.
Do you notice any other power plays last night?
Well, it's not even a power play so much. When they're sitting down next to one another, there's a very big height difference between the two of them. And we usually equate height with power. So when they're sitting down next to each other, see how John McCain keeps his legs straight out? That's right. And Obama is tall and lanky, so he's able to sit there with one leg up. And you notice that because one's playing off the height and one is,
Chuck, that works for you.
needing some height. Right, exactly.
Well, those stools could be a little rickety like these stools, or maybe they were concerned about falling off.
No, because look at how Obama's sitting. One leg's cranked up. He's all confident and relaxed, and John McCain has to sit with both legs lunged forward.
Yeah.
It's merely just perception, how we see things.
Let's take a look at Senator McCain, what he did right last night before we get into the wrongs.
Okay, so look at him. He's standing with his shoulders are back, and his legs, when he's standing firm, are shoulder width apart, and that's a very dominant stance. Here, he's leaning on the chair, and the interesting thing about this is there are 2 completely different impressions. The legs forward and strong indicate power, and then the arm leaning against the chair indicates relaxation. So he's trying to give both impressions, and he does it really well. That's his form.
Chuck is sitting with his hands in his lap. What does that indicate?
Well, every person in the audience was doing that, too. It's normally just, you know, a way to protect yourselves. I'm hanging out. I'm covering up what I think is important.
Yeah, well, there you have it. There's something very important here.
All right, let's take a look
Stimulus
at McCain
package.
Nicely played.
The economy. The economy.
You say here, McCain, you say it's not what he's saying, but what he's doing. Watch this video. He's talking.
What's he doing there, Tonya?
And as he talks...
He's petting a dog.
Oh, yeah. Well, look at how many different gestures he's using. When he uses his gestures, unfortunately, they don't come across as powerful as Obama's does, and that's more because they're not big and sweeping.
He was walking backwards.
Yeah. Well, yeah, as he's walking backwards, what it looks like is he's giving the impression that he's walking away from what he just said, and that's usually a problem. And again, it's not necessarily that he doesn't believe what he said, but quite often we perceive that if you're stepping away from your response, then you don't agree with your own words.
Walking backwards, Chuck.
Yeah, well, you just run the tape backwards, and now he becomes very inviting. Hey, how you doing?
John McCain, Senator McCain made some attempts at humor last night.
Yes.
I mean, it was a pretty staid environment there.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, you know, he's kind of a stoic guy, and his attempts at humor weren't as good as I think they should have been.
All right, let's listen.
I'll answer the question. Tell you what, Tom, wave like that, and I'll look at you.
All right, son.
Okay. You know, like hair transplants. I might need one of those myself. But the point is, before we leave that, did we hear the size of the fine?
Well, it could be the crowd.
Yeah, wake up, that crowd.
Yeah, well, the crowd was, but, you know, it could be that somebody needs to tell McCain that vaudeville is dead. You know, some of the jokes he was making, you know, when he's like, I don't know what it is about my friend here, but it's as difficult as trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. I'm like, what? What is that? You know, it's like stapling pudding to a goat. What's that mean? What's it mean?
Have you ever done that? Well, let's get on to Senator Obama then. on, Tonya. What did he do right first?
Well, Senator Obama has excellent body language, and as he's talking, you can see he uses very large, sweeping gestures. And usually I tell people not to do that because it can come across as overly dramatic. But when you watch him do it, it kind of indicates his openness. See that sweeping gesture? That's a big gesture. But it comes across as powerful, dominant, and open when he does it.
Gotcha.
You say Obama made a mistake when he was chastised about the rules. Let's take a look at this.
Gentlemen, you may not have noticed, but we have whites around here. And they have red and green and yellow, and they are a signal to where we are.
I'm just trying to keep up with John.
Yeah, that was one of his I lost some points there moments, because what does he do? Oh, I'm just trying to keep up with John, blaming. He doesn't want to take the heat. He has to point the finger.
You didn't take that as a sense of humor, trying to be like, I'm just trying to keep up with that guy.
No, it came off more like a little kid, just like, him did it too.
Yes.
You know, it was like, it's not my fault. Mom always said don't play ball in the house. It's him.
Don't nail Dylan to the wall.
Right.
Well, speaking of the little kids like you just did, Tom had a hard time keeping the rules, sticking to the rules that the candidates made up themselves.
Gentlemen, I want to just remind you one more time, about time. We're going to have a larger deficit than the federal government does if we don't get this under control here before too long. Guys, the rules were established by the two campaigns. We worked very hard on this. Right. This will address, I think, the next question. Gentlemen, you may not have noticed, but we have whites around here. And they have red and green and yellow, and they are a signal to where we are.
Oh, let him run.
Oh, man. I thought that was great. I love Tom Brokaw now. I mean, seriously, all he needed was like a ruler, and he would have been like Sister Mary Tom Brokaw. You know? You kids, stop it. Don't make me come up there. Don't make me come up there.
All right, this McCain jab at Obama is getting a lot of play in the news. Listen to this one.
You know who voted for it? You might never know. That one.
That
one.
Whoa.
Yeah, that went right back to the childish side that you saw with Obama. That one, very rude, the same kind of look.
Yeah, but at least Obama let him be a guy. He's like, that one. Like he was like a invasion of the body snatchers.
He's not human.
Finally, Tonya, at the end of the debate, it took a little while for the candidates to connect. Watch this. I mean, they're right next to each other, and they're sort of, hey, buddy, hey. What does that say?
Yeah, there was just no connection. That's exactly it. There was no connection. I didn't even notice a connection between the wives. So this was a very awkward moment. You kind of want to be able to make eye contact with them, shake their hand, and leave it that way.
Yeah. Well, they've said such nasty things over the last 7 days or so. It's probably hard to look each other in the eye.
In the beginning, they were able to do it. In the beginning, it was, you know, that act. And
that was before the wives were there. That's when the real deal happens. You know, they were looking at each other like, I can't believe she wore that. Like, that was the kind of, you know.
Well, let's bring up the economy, because that was the main subject of the debate last night, and the economy played a big role in the debate. And there's news this morning that the stock market overseas, especially in Japan, its lowest since 1987. Pat Powell. Was John McCain's plan to maybe try to pay off these mortgages a good idea and bring it up last night?
Well, he tried to do something, and I think they're taking a page from the book that says doing something is better than doing nothing, but neither one of these guys on a substantive economic issue actually get it. Both of them stayed with the same old stuff, and we are not in the same old economic times. These are very serious times, and what's going on in the markets is just anticipating what's going to happen in the economy.
Pat Powell, thank you very much, ma'am. Chuck Nice, good to see you. Tonya, we'll have you back, of course. This is a scary time for all of us. But what about your kids, guys? Listen to this tomorrow.